What is Kion and why do you need it? You don't need anything. You're good as you are.
It's a pleasure to introduce Angelo, Keely.
My guest today is Angelo Keely, co-founder and CEO of Kion.
Lucky for us, we've got Angelo Keely here today, who is the co-founder and CEO of Kion.
You're in Wimberley. You moved to Austin. Is that where you discovered LSD?
So I was raised in an environment where it was not kind of expected to just like fall in line. You start involving drugs and social stuff, it gets kind of wild. But I took way too much LSD and I had a very bad trip. And I was really scared and I was in the wrong neighborhood and they stabbed me twice in the back. Confronting how I'm responsible for my decisions is one of the coolest things that ever happened to me because it made me get really serious about how amazing life can be and what I want to get from it. I really just wanted to do something fresh and be part of something I felt more connected to. Making these core supplements that really are worth people's time and money. They're worth me taking every day. They're worth me giving to my family.
My protein powder has aminos in it. Why should we add more aminos?
Awesome question. The first thing I want to say is
The Big Silence. It's time to sing.
Welcome to the Big Silence podcast, Angelo, co-founder and CEO of Kion.
Karena, thanks for having me.
I know. It's kind of cool because you hung out here before in Austin. You are from Austin, so you're back in town. Always love it when I can sit down with someone again in person. And there's so much, you do so many podcasts. What did you do, like 50 in a year one time?
I did at least 50 like last year. I don't know what the count is now, but it's a lot of podcasts.
Well, it's great. That's how you share your message and your passion, and especially with Kion. And before, I always love diving deep into personal stories and backgrounds. But before we even get into that, can you explain what Kion is and why we need it?
So what is Kion and why do you need it?
I know why I need it.
I almost want to like flip the script and be like, you don't need anything. You're good as you are.
Thank you.
Really, everyone is. Everyone
it's
is.
An
like,
enhancement.
Yeah, I think that's the truth. I don't think you don't need Kion, but Kion, I think, does fill a specific space in people's nutrition. Mm-hmm. And overall, it's a supplement company brand that I created. And at the heart of it, there's this one product that's called Kion Aminos, and those are essential amino acids. And they're basically hyper concentrated protein. Mm-hmm. And so they help people to achieve the goals that typically you would try to get the support of protein from, but in a much easier and much more effective way. Yeah. And we can go way more into that, but that's what it is, and that's why it is. And they can definitely help people. They've helped a lot of people, and you don't need them. You'll be fine.
We will survive. Eat right. Get your protein. But I do have my ketone, I just said I had a ketone IQ to get sharp. But my Kion in my water today. I know that's not typically where I have it. I usually have it pre-workout, but today I did not work out. But I love to flavor my water, and the lime is really good. So we got it in there.
Just pro tip, aminos, specifically Kion aminos, are awesome on days when you don't work out.
Oh,
because when you take these, and we'll get more into it, they stimulate what's called protein synthesis, which is actually the proteins inside your body's being made. So that means remaking your hormones, your enzymes, your muscle tissue, etc. But they specifically really help with the muscle. Yeah. And so even on days when you don't train, they're actually replacing your current muscle fibers by taking it right now. So it's a great thing to take on days when
I made the right choice.
When you don't work out is sometimes even, well, not better, but also an awesome time to take them.
Yeah. And I was talking to Rachel on my team before, and she was like, I've been taking it, and she's been working out, majorly focused on getting stronger, sees the improvement. Bobby, who you've met with the 7 Pomeranians, I was like, can I get some creatine? I want some Kion creatine. I was like, I'll see if I can work that out. I want to dive back before even you founded Kion and your childhood. You have so many interesting stories. Number one, your mother would give you aminos growing up. So you've kind of been in this health and wellness knowledge or experience since a kid.
Yeah, I guess I was a typical hippie kid from Austin, Texas in the 80s. And I was actually born at home in Wimberley, Texas, for anyone who's knows this part of town.
I've been to Wimberley.
Yeah. And we moved to Austin when I was like a year old. because actually my dad was like in the original like restaurant business with Whole Foods.
Oh, cool.
But he had a natural health food store, natural health food restaurant out in Wimberley. And yeah, I mean, I was born at home. I never was given, like an over-the-counter medicine, anything like that. I didn't see the doctor until I went to first grade for the first time. That's when I went to school, and that's when I first got a birth certificate. So we were pretty crunchy hippies, and my parents were very into nutrition. We talked a lot about nutrition. We talked about micronutrients. We talked about protein, and yet they had this quirky thing where they were pescatarians. So we were vegetarians, but we also ate fish. Yet they knew how important protein was. So we talked about protein a lot. And I remember my mom telling me, like, Angie, that's what she'd call me, like, you need to eat your rice and your beans. You need the
Angie,
quinoa.
that's cute.
Yeah. You need to eat the quinoa and the lentils on days when, like, or meals when we weren't having fish, or there wasn't tofu, or, some other type of more complete protein source.
Did you like it as a kid, or were you
I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better.
I grew up with tofu and brown rice and all the things. I went through a vegetarian phase and with my mom, and I was vegetarian as a teenager for 6 years, but I hated what my parents would serve for dinner. It was like brown rice and veggies, or then when we weren't vegetarian, it was pineapple chicken. It was just so healthy. And I would go to my friends' houses after school because we could make like cookie dough and nacho cheese and chips. But it's interesting when you grow up how you realize, like, this is actually tastes good and makes you feel good.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely had the experience where, like, I'd go to friends' houses and eat a fruit roll up and be like, whoa, that's amazing. I didn't even know there was such a flavor as that. Yeah, it is what it is. I think it definitely, it doesn't have the same kind of stimulatory profile as highly processed foods when you eat like real foods.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my parents also, though, they were into certain types of supplements, and one of them was amino acids, both for the benefits of supplementing our protein intake and also for exercise. My mom was like really into doing master swimming. And so I remember, again, Angie, and like her giving me these amino acids and being like, can't you feel it? And I could really feel it. It's one of those supplements where, hey, it's subtle, but you can actually feel it. So it's pretty cool.
So, okay, you're in Wimberley. You moved to Austin.
Yeah.
Is that where you discovered LSD?
Well, yeah.
We all have our teenage stories here. There's no shining away.
So, I think similar to another element of my family life was that my parents were both, entrepreneurs and small business folk. And they were typical of those types of people, a bit more alternative, manic, kind of like, very independent minded. So I was raised in an environment where it was not kind of expected to just like fall in line and do what's expected. It was more kind of like, you got to like invent yourself. You got to argue for what you believe. You got to figure everything out. And so when that, I think, meets adolescence, it can be kind of wild, right? It's like, I had to like experience everything on my own. I had to figure out every lesson on my own. And you start involving drugs and social stuff, it gets kind of wild. And unfortunately, when I was 16 and a half, it was not my first time, but I took way too much LSD and I had a very bad trip, mind melting, horrible. And I was really scared, and I was in the wrong neighborhood, and there were other kind of hardcore people in this environment, and I unintentionally provoked them, and they beat the crap out of me. And they stabbed me twice in the back.
Holy shit. And
they stabbed me in the knee. And so my patellar tendon was entirely severed, had to be reattached. I have a huge scar down my abdomen because I went to the hospital. I thought I was like dying. I was, stabbed twice in the back. And I woke up like a week, later in the hospital.
Wow.
And, so that's a pretty bad acid trip.
Was that the last one where you're like, I'm good?
Oh man, I wish I could say it was the last one. What I would say though is that for me was a big dose of time, responsibility, adulthood, confronting how I'm responsible for my decisions, and just how fragile the whole thing is. And so it really kickstarted at 16 and a half, like, it wasn't immediate, and it took another 20 years for it to kind of like totally like unfold. But I think a real sincerity and dedication to like figuring out my health journey and like what's important to me. And that's physical. That's like, man, how to get back to being able to like run again, when you've had your patellar tendon severed. But it's also like how to be mentally balanced and to not be racked by, PTSD, anxiety, how to find peace with myself and how to find peace in my relationships and how to figure out what I care about and to go after all that. And so it was a really hard thing, but it was one of the coolest things that ever happened to me because it made me get really serious about, I don't know, just how amazing life can be and what I want to get from it.
What was that process? Did you go through therapy or for PTSD?
Yeah,
especially?
I mean, again, I think it's the kind of thing where it's not like I did one thing or like I did, one thing over the short amount of time. I really do think it probably took 20 years to kind of embrace it all and integrate a lot of it. But initially, I've done a lot of talk therapy. I've done a lot of meditation, like tons, thousands of hours of silent meditation on my own in retreats, yoga, a lot of exercise, a lot of, I actually did a ton of acupuncture at that stage when I was in high school. Yeah. And then diet, journaling, self-help stuff. I ended up going to college for philosophy and religious studies. Okay. And I think just like learning about other people's journeys and paths. And so it's like a lot of things helped.
I know. I love learning people's journeys and paths because you realize you're not alone and anything is possible, even if you experience trauma. Through your fitness journey, number one, I want to know, what is your meditation and fitness journey today on a daily?
What does it look like right now? Yeah. So, I mean, I can tell you like my daily schedule is not super, super consistent because I travel a lot for work and it just kind of shifts kind of based on the season. Like with kids, I have a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, like whether it's summer or winter or whatever, basketball season. But I would say like across the board from a fitness perspective, my goal is to do, and I don't want to make this seem too complicated, but this really is where I'm at. Like every day I'm trying to get in like 15,000 steps.
Wow.
Which is just like walking. And the way I do that is like, I don't do Zoom calls. I'll do phone calls.
Can we ban Zoom calls?
I just would encourage more people to say like, hey, can we do this just on the phone or can I call in? Because if you can just call in and be on the phone, you can get the steps in a lot easier. Yeah. And just asking people to go on walks, go on a walk after you eat every time you have a meal, like go on a 15-minute walk. Like you can actually find ways to get in that many steps. And then I think after that, it's weight training a few times a week. And it's not like I'm trying to like break any records. It's like I'm just making sure I'm working like my major muscle groups, basic stuff, pull-ups, push-ups, dips. And then I do, I try to do some kind of explosive running, sprinting. I do like speed and agility work with my 12-year-old son a lot, which is good for me because I also want to be able to like, when I'm 30 years from now, I want to be able to like move from side to side well. And then like zone 2 running. So that's running really slow.
Yeah.
I'm running really slow for like 4 or 5 miles.
We call that a slog. It's like a slow jog.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, when I say it, I'm like, God, it kind of sounds like a lot, but I've worked into like, that's the sustainable thing. And then I try to do fun things. I play basketball and I do some Muay Thai, kickboxing, and go on surf trips.
So you're just active.
I'm just active. Yeah. And meditation, I typically do just like 20 minutes in the morning by myself. But also my kids kind of go in and out of wanting to do it. And whenever they ask me to meditate with them, I will. Yeah. And so like lately, actually, they each want to meditate for 10 minutes.
That's amazing.
Every morning, but their schedules are different. One wakes up at 6 and one wakes up at 7. So I get even more meditation in because like I'm doing my own meditation and then my daughter wants to and then my son wants to. So
20 minutes, do you do TM or what is your style of meditation?
I do it's basically like a body scan.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like a Vipassana, like body scan. But I've done all kinds of stuff. I've actually never really done TM.
I mean, it's 20 minutes twice a day, which I struggle to do twice a day. I'll do 20 minutes in the morning or sometimes 2 minutes. And I always say, like, whatever you can get in, whether it's a workout snack, a meditation snack, like that's good enough for the day, whatever you can actually achieve, as long as you're doing something.
I agree with that. I think, and honestly, I would just come back to that again and again in this conversation. In the case like where we start to go too much of a rabbit hole around like protein or nutrition or something. It's like, what's the one little thing I can get from this conversation? What's like one small change I can make versus it having to be, you got to implement this whole list of things or do all this stuff.
I'm anti all or nothing.
Yeah.
Like if there's an in between or if there's a little bit, like we're doing good.
Exactly.
So I want to know how you came about to co-found Kion.
You know, this is one of those weird things too, where it's not a story where it's like, well, there was this really perfect hole in the market and I wanted to try to, fill that hole. It was really, my career took me in a lot of different places. I lived overseas for several years. I came back to the States. I didn't live in Austin. I moved to Boulder because that's where my wife's family was, and got into behavioral health care for a few years. And then it was like, I really just wanted to do something fresh and new and my own thing and build like a quality of life for myself, quality of life for other people and my team, and just like be part of something I felt more connected to. And honestly, like I joke about it, but I basically like made the company like, I don't know, like 4-year-old Angie's mom would have been proud of. It's like making these really like core supplements that really are worth people's time and money. They're like worth me taking every day. They're worth me giving to my family. They're worth people, investing in. And I just say that because a lot of supplements aren't. There's like a lot of, there's always some new thing someone's trying to market or sell. And like, rather than trying to do like the coolest, hippest, newest thing, it's like, what are actually like really quality things that can really make a change in someone's life? And I've known about this stuff my whole life and I believe in it. And it was like, I just want to be part of something I really believe in.
Yeah. So so if someone's listening, they're like, okay, my protein powder, like I'm a big protein smoothie girl.
Yeah.
My protein powder has aminos in it. And then why should we add more aminos?
Awesome question. So the first thing I want to say is, again, like rather than this like all or nothing thing, I think what I'm about to share is more like nuance of all these different tools that you can use to improve your health, to improve your life. So first, I think the good place to start is like, what the heck even is protein? Like, why are you even taking protein powder? Like, why are we trying to focus on getting more protein in our meals? Like, why does that even matter?
Right. And especially as we age, I'm 44 now, and I know I need to make sure I'm getting enough protein to sustain my muscle.
Yeah. So I think that's like, why is that? And I'll just get a quick explanation of protein. So like, everyone's on the same page. So the major reason why we eat protein is very different from why we eat carbohydrates and why we eat fat. The three of those, carbohydrates, fat, and protein, are the three macronutrients. The main reason why we eat carbohydrates is energy. Like literally, you eat the carbohydrates and they get converted into this thing called ATP in your body, and you can beat your heart, you can walk around, you breathe, like it's energy for your body. Fat is pretty similar, but it also goes into like making up your cells. It does some other really important stuff too, but those are really very specifically energy sources. Protein, less than 10% of the protein you eat is used for energy. So you don't eat food because, you don't eat protein because you're hungry and it's going to give you energy. You eat protein for a very different reason. And an analogy I like to use is if you think about your body as a house. Your house needs energy, right? You got to get energy from the grid, like whether that's like your energy company, or you have solar panels or a generator. Maybe you get natural gas, which is like another energy source. Maybe that's a way of thinking about like, carbs versus fat. But that's to fuel the lights in your house, to run the dishwasher, etc. But at the same time, your house is actually made up of materials, and those materials start to get old over time. And it can be your actual house, but also things like your blender and your dishwasher. Like after a while, they break down. And when they break down, you have to replace them. That is why we eat protein, because we are made of protein. Over half of our bone mass, our hormones, enzymes, all of our vital organs, muscle tissue, even our neurotransmitters, like the chemicals in our brain through which we experience emotions and feelings, come from proteins. So all these things, they don't last forever. They also degrade and they break down over time, the same way your blender does. And when they degrade and break down, you literally break apart. Like if I think about my skin, and I'm looking at it right now, is made up of these millions of proteins. Right now, some of them are actually old. They're not as functional. They're breaking down. And I literally am peeing out. I'm about to pee out some of the amino acids that make up that protein. If I don't eat more protein, if I don't eat more amino acids that make up that protein, then literally I won't be able to rebuild my skin, rebuild my hormones, rebuild my muscle. So you have to eat protein to build yourself up. So it's your muscle for sure, but it's also all those other things. And I think a fundamental piece of all this is that there are really different qualities of proteins. Like some protein sources are way more effective at doing that than others. And the short story is the more essential amino acids that make up a protein, we can get into what this even means, but when you get a protein source, the more essential amino acids there are as the actual building blocks of that protein, and the more digestible they are, and the more immediately they can hit your blood when you eat them, the greater the impact you will get from that source. So quick comparison, whey protein powder, and we can talk about different types of protein powders, but a whey protein powder is about 3 times as effective as steak, as beef protein eaten as part of a whole meal at stimulating that protein synthesis. So protein powder on its own, literally, especially if it's whey, but it kind of depends on what it is much more effective than just trying to eat more chicken or eat more steak because it's digested more quickly. It has a higher concentration of these EAAs that hit your blood. Now, if I compare that to aminos, like Kion aminos, the Kion aminos are at least 3 times effective as the whey protein. So going back to your question, why would you take these aminos instead of protein or with them? They're basically a more concentrated, more effective source of why you eat protein for a lot less calories, a fruity flavor, like this other format. Now, that doesn't mean I would say now only drink Kion aminos.
Yeah.
you know,
fill up your little Yeti here.
And stop eating food. No, because
Yeah.
like food has other good stuff in
Yeah.
it. It has micronutrients, it has minerals, you get iron, you know, like all these other things from that. But when you're trying to just get a bit more, when your goal is, I want to maintain my muscle as I age.
Right. Without the extra calories.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just get straight to the point.
Yeah. I want to cut fat and I want to maintain muscle. Something like these Kion aminos is much, much, much more effective than whey protein or protein powder, and even more effective than something like a whole food protein. So when you're just trying to supplement and add a bit more, you're going to get way more bang for your buck from something like aminos. Now, they're not going to fill you up like a big protein shake is, you know.
You're not going to be satiated at all.
Yeah. I mean, they're it's a very different, it doesn't feel like you ate a bunch of food.
Yeah.
You know?
So what's your favorite way to take them? Pre-workout? Post?
I mean, the thing that I do every single day, what I would say is like the most important thing is, because they're beneficial basically any time of day, is to take them every day. Like most things in life, you don't get rich immediately. You don't get fit immediately. None of these things happen just because you do it one time. It's because you build a consistent behavior you're willing to do. Going back to you asked me the exercise question, like what's your exercise? I got nervous even responding because it was like so many things. But the bottom line is I do something every day.
You're just active.
I do something every day. And I would say like if I was giving advice to someone, I'd be like, just whatever you're willing to do every day. So I would say the thing I prioritize is taking them every day. So I take them first thing in the morning, every single morning with Kion creatine. I take them both every single morning. And in doing that, I know I'm stimulating this protein synthesis. I'm literally communicating to my body, hey, I want to restart building my skin, my muscles, my hair, all the stuff. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing I communicate it to in the morning, every single morning. And for me, that's an important way to start my day.
Yeah.
That said, they're great before exercise. They're more beneficial before exercise than after. But they're good after too.
Yeah, I always take it before. Just shake it in some water and chug it down.
It's good. Well, because the benefit of that is when you drink it before, because when you exercise, there's this increased blood flow. You're moving more and more blood to your arms, your legs, etc.
Yeah.
It moves the amino acids to your muscles. So the synergistic effect of the amino acids in the exercise is much greater than either alone. So you kind of get maximum benefit taking it when you exercise.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say is like, if you only are taking it on days when you exercise, then you're missing out.
Well, like today, I have it on my non-exercise day because it was a late flight in, but I'm still getting them. So interested and even pay more attention to my protein intake and aminos and everything and creatine now that I went through early perimenopause and menopause, which is crazy, which with doctors and everyone I've had on the show and psychologists, I've learned that growing through childhood trauma, that typically happens. So I'm on this mission to figure out, I've gotten over all the weight gain that happened with hormones and everything. And now I'm just trying to build more muscle and be stronger, stay stronger, focus on mobility and, the health in this phase of my life. So it's been really helpful for me. Because typically I didn't take a lot of supplements before, but now I realize that it helps. But
I think that's the other bigger part that I'm realizing more and more as I get older.
We're getting older here.
Is like, that maybe, and here's an interesting point too for thinking about why protein powder starts to make more sense as you age and aminos make more sense as you age, is that those facts I gave you earlier about it's 3 times the impact, of the beef. That's for young adults like in their 20s.
Okay.
As we age, our ability to digest protein and our sensitivity to those amino acids that are in the protein decreases significantly. So by the time that you're 60, it's about half the impact that you used to get when you were 20. So you have to eat way more protein as you age, or you could supplement. Like again, you have a protein powder, it's going to be more effective than just trying to eat more chicken, even more effective than when you were 20. Or an amino acid supplement is going to be that much more effective. And so that's something I've embraced as I've gotten older too, where it's like when I was younger, I was like, just focus on trying to eat real whole foods. Yeah. Focus on moving, focus on, exercising. And as we get older, there simply is more benefit to things like this than there was 20 years ago.
Yeah. What's your thought on how many grams of protein you should have per day? Are you the 1 gram per pound of body weight type of person?
Yeah. So I think it really depends on a lot of things. One thing I think it does not depend on is your gender. So I'll just name that right off the bat. I think sometimes there's this idea that like, all these studies are only done on men. They aren't done on women. There's a lot of studies done on women specifically for protein consumption, for amino acid supplementation, et cetera. So I think regardless of your gender, it's pretty similar. Now there could be nuance if you're perimenopausal, but overall what I would say is if you're already pretty fit and you're in your 20s and you're not trying to compete for anything like, trying to like become this awesome performative type person, I think that 0.7 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight is good. I think that's like solid. I think you're going to be able to build muscle. You're going to be able to be healthy, do things. If you are over 40, I would be aiming more towards that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Again, because of the point I made earlier where your body doesn't utilize the protein as effectively. And as you get older, going even higher. And if you're under any kind of stress, and one of those stresses being you're trying to lose weight, like you really want to lose fat, but you want to maintain your muscle, which I think is the case. Like I don't think of people trying to like, I really want to lose some muscle.
No,
like they want to lose
not the goal.
Yeah, they want to lose like 10 pounds of fat and maintain all their muscle and look more toned. And whether you're doing that with, now it's like much more common people do it medicated through like GLP-1 agonists or through tracking, whatever your method is, the same thermodynamics happen where you could like lose a muscle when you go through that weight loss journey. That's a time where I think you need to eat even more protein.
Yeah, because GLP-1s, don't you lose more? You're losing a lot of muscle versus like more muscle than fat.
You don't lose more muscle than fat, but so quickly, kind of a quick answer is eat a lot more protein if you're trying to lose weight. Yeah. And now, why is that? And like what happens like when you're on a GLP-1 agonist? What I would say is it's not actually different from when you're just like, even if you just track your food and you consistently eat less calories than you need to eat in a day to stay your weight, you will lose weight. Like the old school way of doing it before drug intervention. The drug intervention thing is not any different. What happens is the way our bodies work, it's actually really cool. And it's not cool like when you live in a world where you can eat as many cookies as you want. But the way our bodies were made, or however they function, historically, is that if you have more food than you need at a given time, you're able to store it as body fat. Right. Why is that? Well, if you were to go through a period where like your tribe couldn't find food, you could actually survive off that body fat and continue to live. In a similar way, when you go without protein, if I go without protein for 6 hours, literally just 6 hours today, what will happen is my heart tissues will need to be rebuilt. My skin tissues will need to be rebuilt. I'll need new hormones. Where do I get the protein from to rebuild those? There's only one place in my body, and it's a reservoir similar to my fat stores, and it's called my muscle. So when you go without protein, even just for 6 hours, you will start breaking down muscle to supply these little amino acids to the blood so you can go rebuild your heart tissue, rebuild your skin, all those things. So what happens is when you don't eat as much food as you used to eat, and it can be with a GLP-1, you will start to actually, unless you consume way more protein, it's actually been shown that you have to eat 3 times the amount of essential amino acids. And I keep saying this word, but essential amino acids are basically just the active component in the protein.
Yep.
In a high quality protein source like chicken, they make up like 45% of it, of that chicken protein. Like that's really what you're trying to get when you eat protein. You need to eat 3 times the amount of that to maintain your muscle during like a 30% caloric restriction. So if you don't, what happens is people go on GLP-1s or some type of restrictive calorie counting diet. If you lose 10 pounds, it's typically 4 pounds of muscle and 6 pounds of fat. If you do it over a longer period of time, it's not quite as bad. It's maybe more like, if you lost 100 pounds, it might be like 30 pounds of muscle and 70 pounds of fat. It's like the split doesn't quite as extreme. But what I can tell you is if you eat more protein, or specifically if you just supplement with a lot of something like Kion Aminos, during that phase, you have the potential to lose 10 pounds of fat and lose no muscle.
Yeah.
And the difference between losing 10 pounds of fat and no muscle versus 6 pounds of fat and 4 pounds of muscle is very different.
Yeah.
The way you
Goals.
look, the way you feel. Going back to your original question about, like how much protein should you eat? I think if you are over 40 and you're trying to lose fat, it's even more protein. Or it's protein and it's taking aminos, protein and having protein powder in the middle of the day. It's finding these other tools that can help you get there faster.
How do you track your protein per day?
I have gone through periods where I've tracked my protein very closely. Like now I just know.
How much.
I know. Yeah. And I just try to, I just know like eat protein and vegetables and fruits. It's like what I try to eat.
Eat healthy, y'all.
Yeah. I have kids and I have treats and I eat, I eat ice cream and things like that. But I know like
protein ice cream.
That's not nutritive to me. It's not, but I've definitely gone through tracking all my protein.
I went through a little phase where I was trying to see how much protein I actually was consuming, and I tracked it, and it was really hard for me. So now because I'm 5'10", 160, and I'm like, how would I ever have 160 grams of protein in a day? It's so much. So I give myself grace on that too. I do my best, not the all or nothing. If it's in between, it's fine. But I realized I had to just think of what's a quick, easy way for protein. Yeah, protein shakes, shake it in water, take your aminos, hard-boiled eggs. I'm a girl with a fridge of cottage cheese and string cheese, and like each one is 5 grams of protein. So it's just like those little things, because we're always on the go all the time. So it's how do you get enough protein moving through the day, because we don't all have time to make full meals. But yeah, it's very interesting. I definitely highly suggest people just for a day track like how much protein you actually think you are consuming, realizing what you need to do to consume enough.
I really support that. And I would say like for a full week, if you can, like track everything you eat for a week.
Yeah.
You learn a lot.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about like what's in foods, and not just protein, like how much fat is in that or how much sugar, or it really just opens your eyes to like pay attention to what you're doing. I think of it almost like parenting myself when I've done it. I'm like, wow, I'm actually like paying attention to what I'm putting in my body. And like,
I know.
But yeah, and you'll notice, it's helpful if you have like tools. Like you get great tools, string cheese, cottage cheese. I think like Greek yogurt, protein shakes. And again, things like aminos, you can just get there much easier if you have those tools. And I wouldn't say that, like I would never replace kind of like, let's say 160 grams of protein for you. Like I would never replace like I would try to eat at least 100 grams, 110 grams, like eat real food. Yeah. After that though, when you're trying to get like those higher levels, giving like examples I gave earlier, like, a woman in her 40s, 1 scoop of the aminos is equal to, which is only 5 grams, like of actual active aminos in it, is equal to about 20 grams of protein. So you start thinking in that way, it's like, wow, I take 3 scoops of that. That's like almost the equivalent of like 60 grams of protein.
Yeah.
You can get there faster if you use tools. Now, I would try to encourage you to just, like if you're doing that, but then you're like, well, then now I get to eat, I don't know, some kind of junk food. It's not as, healthy, but I think if you're trying to eat vegetables and fruits and, if you eat whole grains and things like that and, lean, good quality sources of protein, like it is kind of a cheat code.
Yeah.
There's a cheat code with this where you can get there a little bit easier and faster.
So I love obviously talking about mental health. We know that exercise, meditation, food you put in your body, staying hydrated affects your mental health. But you've talked before about how aminos and creatine have a correlation with depression.
Amino acids specifically have been studied for quite a long time relative to improving mood outcomes. And many holistic kind of integrative psychiatrists for a long time have looked at things like even working with the patient and trying to understand, diagnose, and improve the outcomes, have looked at things like, well, what's their omega-3 intake? I'm broadening the scope a little bit beyond amino acids, but like, what's their omega-3 intake? What's their protein? What's their amino acid intake? Even testing them for amino acids. Creatine is kind of newer in this, but I'll get to it in a second. And so with that, like, why? Like, why would they do that? Well, as I said earlier, the neurotransmitters in our brain, things like dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, these things literally come from amino acids. And so the amount of amino acids that we take, the proportions of them can actually impact which ones are more predominant in our brain. And that's why, like, you know, the old school idea of like tryptophan in your turkey makes you tired. There's actually like not that much tryptophan in the turkey to do that. But
that's just the overeating at Thanksgiving.
But higher doses of tryptophan increase production of 5-HTP, which increases production of serotonin, which increases production of melatonin. That is a clear chemical process that happens. So even like Kion, like we have a sleep formula to help you go to sleep and stay asleep.
I need that.
It's very high in tryptophan. It's high in tryptophan. It's high
I haven't tried that.
GABA, theanine. Like it's high in these things that specifically are neurotransmitters or help generate more of these transmitters. So you can change your mood via it. And yeah, what I would say is like, if you are, now obviously this is not like medical advice, but anyone who's struggling with like any type of mood stuff, it could be depression, irritability, anxiety, looking at your daily protein intake, eating enough protein, consistently eating it, like not looking at that first, I think is silly. Because literally it's like where these neurotransmitters come from. And it's absolutely the case that by taking something like aminos, you can actually improve and better regulate your neurochemistry in that way. And so things like, Kion aminos, where there's more phenylalanine than the tryptophan, is likely to increase those dopamine levels. And that's why when people take it, likely you have this experience of feeling more focused and more kind of alert. But there's a lot of other things that go into it. But certainly like amino acids play a really big role in our overall neurochemistry. Creatine is a cool one. It's newer in this space in terms of us being able to, the scientific community being able to uncover like what's going on with it. I'm also big, like I said earlier, I take creatine every single morning. I think it's another worthwhile supplement. The way that creatine works, first maybe on a muscle level, because that's what like people are more familiar with, is it's actually this alternative energy source. Creatine gets stored in your muscles as this thing called phosphocreatine. And there is certain types of activities, like I'm sure, you've been exposed to aerobic exercise, anaerobic exercise. They're like different ways that your body creates or converts energy. Well, there's this other type of energy system called the phosphocreatine energy system. And when you need to do a burst of something, you want to sprint, you want to do a pull-up, you want to do a push-up, your muscle needs the energy conversion really fast. And so the first thing it looks for is the phosphocreatine energy stores. So if you take creatine on a daily basis, and you have to take it on a daily basis, it can't be like you only take it on workout days. You start to saturate more of your muscle tissue with these creatine stores. When you go to do those exercises, it's easier. So the way creatine works is it makes it easier to do push-ups. It makes it easier to do pull-ups. And not like that much easier, but maybe in the past you could only do 8 of something. Now you can do 10. Well, when you do that over time, you get stronger, you get more muscular endurance, you get more fit. And interestingly, in the last few years, what they started to study was, well, these creatine stores also occur in your brain too. Most of it goes to your muscle, but there's also these creatine stores in your brain. So what if we like gave people more creatine? And what they found is if you give people a lot more creatine, it's not like the standard 5-gram dose. It's like 15 grams if you're really tired, 25 grams if you're an older adult. You can improve memory, you can improve focus, and just overall kind of like the cognitive function gets better. A more recent study tracked specifically people taking creatine and the results around depression, and they had better outcomes with the group that took the creatine. So for some reason, I think we don't understand mechanistically as much like why it works, but having more creatine stored in your brain, I'm assuming in a similar way that it makes it easier for your muscle to like do these activities, it makes it easier for your brain to do certain types of activities. It has kind of like more energy just like latent in the brain, that's where it can process things more quickly. I think why and how exactly that is like improving these outcomes with depression is still unclear.
It makes sense in my non-science that I don't know anything about it, but a lot of ladies listen, and we've heard creatine, and they're, oh, it'll bloat me, retaining water. We've been trained. I mean, I just started taking creatine probably 2 years ago because you always think it's for the men in the gym. I feel like you can eloquently explain why women, it's good for you too.
Yeah. So I think the reason why you're probably hearing about creatine so much and it's getting marketed to you and it's being encouraged is because I think there's overall just been this awareness that's developed in the female community that like, wow, actually we don't just want to be like really thin, right? That's been something that's been communicated to us a lot, right? We actually want to be strong. We want to be, and I'm not trying to speak for women, but I hear it. Like I hear this shift from like, I want to be strong. I want to be capable. I want to have muscle. I want to age well. And all this insight too around the impacts of menopause and shifts on hormonal function, like all these changes. And I think that's a really positive, it's a positive shift.
I agree with that. I love this shift of women wanting to be strong. I was getting a little scared going from like body positivity to the GLP-1s and like losing so much weight. But I feel like we're in a good place right now where women are not afraid to lift heavy and really be strong. So I'm hoping we keep going in that direction.
And I mean, one nuance I would just give too, it's like, you don't even have to lift heavy.
Yeah.
But if you lift weights, if you just it can be light weights, it can be a lot of repetitions.
Heavy is per person.
Yeah, per person.
Heavy could be a 10-pounder. It just depends on who you are.
But I think just the focus on trying to build muscle, right? Versus like, hey, I want to try to burn calories. I really want to build muscle. And so what I would say is like, if you do have the goal as a woman to build lean muscle and to maintain lean muscle over time as you age, the two most highly researched supplements that have proven to do that are essential amino acids and creatine. Like those are the supplements that work specifically for women as well. And there's studies on women that show this. And I kind of just gave the whole mechanistic, like how does it work? What does creatine do? What I would just say is to kind of dispel any fears, concerns. The bloating thing, if you buy a high quality creatine monohydrate, it's the standard. Like if you buy a powder from like a really good brand, right? Yeah. And there's even a more premium form of it called Creapure. It's what Kion carries. Kion creatine is this Creapure form, which comes from Germany. It's a micronized form, and it's really high quality purity. Bloating is not a real thing. What does happen is that sometimes the creatine gets moved into the muscle with some water. And so your muscles in the short term could be filled with a little bit more water. But I'm talking like, I'm like a 200-pound guy. It's like maybe I would have like a pound more of water in my body. We're not talking like, and over the long term, there's really not a there. And then even more interesting, I think, is the fact that when you look at the creatine studies specifically, men actually build muscle mass, like it's hypertrophy, like their muscles get bigger. The women don't. The women build strength, they build muscular endurance, they build tone, but their muscles don't get way bigger.
Yeah.
So if you have fear of even like it making your like getting like bulky, like that's not even the science, just it doesn't do that. Creatine doesn't really do that for women.
Yeah. I feel like it's been ingrained in our head for so many years that lifting weights won't make a woman bulky, that she's not afraid anymore. It took a long time to get to that point. And it's true. It will actually make you leaner and stronger. So get out there, lift, have your aminos. You glow, girl. You can do it. You'll feel so good. But so you guys have a coupon code or discount for anyone listening, because I feel like after all of this information, everyone should try adding some more Kion aminos in their smoothies, in their water on a daily basis. So it is kion.com/big silence for 20% off. So thank you.
I think it's actually getkion.com.
Get Kion. Just kidding. Getkion.com.
Well, now no one will forget.
No. Go to getkion.com/big silence. Any last words of wisdom? You're so smart number one. I'm sitting here and I'm like, how do you even get so much knowledge and have all this knowledge? Because it's not what you went to college for.
Yeah. What's my parting thoughts, I think, are, just the big idea around what's something you're willing to do every day.
Yeah.
Or you can do every day. And like, that's what to focus on. It's like to focus on like the consistent habits you can do each day and just like one change you can make. So if there's one thing we talked about today that got you excited or got you motivated or felt like I can do that, like focus on that one thing and do that one thing. And then just keep stacking, keep stacking more positive stuff on top of it.
Yeah, I know habit stacking is a big phrase right now. I was actually just talking to Bobby right before he got here, and he was having this anxiety in the morning and deja vu. And I was saying, I'm not being your coach here, because as a wife, you can't be a coach. But there's like little habit stacking things like that I do in the morning. And it's I wake up, I have tea, I'll do a face mask, I have a smoothie, it's like these little things, have your supplements, just little tiny things that make a big difference, because you don't realize the little tiny things that you do to take care of yourself and your body and your mind they stack, and it helps with your mental health. And it's making your bed in the morning, drinking a cup of water in the morning. It's the little things that make a big difference.
It's the little things.
Well, thank you, Angelo, for being here.
Thank you, Karena.
All right.
The big silence. It's time to sing.